All right. I am calling to order the March 8th, 2023 Bond Measure Oversight Committee meeting of the Peralta Community College District. Roll call, please.
Andrea Dawson.
Present.
Jeff Canberra.
Jeff, you're on mute.
Famous phrase in the dictionary, right? Present.
Thank you. Benjamin Scott.
Present.
Marcus Crawley.
Here.
Youssef Herbert. I don't see in the attendees list.
Okay.
But you do have a quorum, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to approval of the meeting minutes. First action item. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll motion to approve them.
Do I have a second?
Second, Benjamin.
Okay. I vote to approve the minutes. Can you take the roll, please?
You bet. So this is for approval of the minutes. Andrea Dawson,
Yes.
Jeff Canberra,
Aye.
Benjamin Scott,
Aye.
Marcus Crawley.
Yes.
Okay, so
Youssef
item
Herbert's
3.
not here, so
Okay.
the minutes are approved.
Okay. You know what? I'm sorry that I went out of order. I'm so used to the minutes going before the meeting agenda. Do we have approval of the meeting agenda as it stands? Marcus Crowley has his hand up.
Yes, I have. Can you do a share screen with the agenda so we can look at it while we're talking about it?
Certainly. You see the agenda?
It's pretty small.
How about now?
There we go. Yes. Okay. I agree to whatever we're voting on.
Great. That sounds like a motion to accept the agenda.
Yes.
Okay. I'll second that. So vote on that, please.
Yes, ma'am. Benjamin Scott,
Um,
we're voting to
I'm so
approve the
sorry.
minute. We're voting to approve the agenda.
Oh, the agenda, yes.
Okay, thank you. Marcus Crawley,
Yes.
Jeff Canberra,
Aye.
Andrea Dawson.
Yes.
Agenda is approved.
Okay. Item 4 is public comment on non-agenda items. Do we have public that would like to comment?
Professor Trego.
Okay. So, well, 2 minutes, okay?
Okay, I'll try. I'm Bill Trigo. I'm a full-time instructor at Laney College and co-chair of the chemistry and physics department. I've worked for the district for the past 17 years. I am a taxpayer in the Peralta district and the father of a student. I'm here this evening to express the concerns that my colleagues and I have about future construction at Laney. On the list of approved projects for Measure G was a new STEM building for the Laney campus. Now, mind you, the first time I heard about this was back in January of 2007, a few months after I had been hired at Laney and a few months after Peralta had passed its last major bond measure, Measure A. In 2017, we completed our facilities master plan, and a new science building was identified as the highest priority project for our campus, along with the Student Center. Passing a Measure G has made us feel very optimistic about the possibility of completing this project that has been discussion for at least 20 years. Unfortunately, our enthusiasm has been tempered by some information that was shared at the Laney Facilities Planning Committee last month by Bond Program Director Sharon Serrano. While I was unable to attend that meeting, I've received reports from 2 colleagues in attendance and have read the approved minutes. What was heard is that new construction has been delayed indefinitely due to legacy facilities issues. These delays, not surprisingly, have resulted in budget overruns for current phase 1 projects. Most concerning is that the district leadership is planning to reduce the budget for the new science building to cover the cost of escalations elsewhere. Our new science building will remain as a phase 2 project, we've heard, since no one quite knows the extent to which we will have to raise the budget for this project to cover current phase 1 projects. I've heard that as much as $19 million from the science building budget may have to be used to address budget overruns. That's about 15% of the total budget. It's really hard not to believe that this project is currently in jeopardy. Unfortunately, this is a story I've heard many times in my 17 years of working for Peralta. Delays in constructions result in budget overruns. We can no longer afford to complete our big plans. I've heard a fair amount of blame recently placed upon previous administrations of this district, but it seems like we are currently perpetuating a cycle that we have seen many times before. I'm here this evening to ask that you break this cycle. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for showing up and expressing your thoughts and concerns on this item. So do we have other public speakers that would like to comment?
I see Abraham Reyes has a hand raised.
Yes,
Oh.
thank you. Thank you very much. I'm not sure.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Just wanted to show my support for what my colleague William Trigo has mentioned. I'm also a faculty member, recently hired as a full-timer within the chemistry department at Laney. Although I've been teaching at Laney for some 17 years as well, most of them as a part-timer, and we dolefully need a science building. The current building that we do have, or the science area and STEM area that we currently have, is not up to par with the kind of teaching that we actually provide to our community. That's all I have to say, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. So other speakers?
I don't see any other speakers, but I see Jabari Herbert has joined, and I'm wondering if that is Youssef.
No, I'm not. That's my brother. But
Gotcha. Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
So would you like to speak on this item? Or have a public comment, rather?
I had a general public comment. If this is the time, I'll speak very briefly. I think I was specifically wanting to speak about the Berkeley City College project and the status of that project and the cost overruns and the delay of the team not being able to get the project through DSA. I would encourage the board to go out for an RFQ or an RFP solicitation process and encourage to look at having a joint venture team where you already have the SLEB and you're able to ensure the goals are likely to be met. I think the small business community did rally and support this bond measure, and there's been very little projects that have trickled back to the local small business community through Peralta. So, I would like to see the district do better. I think there's an opportunity with Berkeley City College, and I would just encourage that in the solicitation process, you're looking to encourage joint venture team partnerships with small local slab companies. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So other public comments? Commenters?
I do not see any hands.
Okay, then we will move on to item 5, which is election of the vice chair for the bond measure oversight committee. Do I have nominations?
Yes, I nominate Jeff. This is Marcus.
So I will second that nomination.
So I guess we ought to find out whether Jeff accepts the nomination or not.
That's true.
Yes, I would accept the nomination and be very grateful for the opportunity. Thank you for your confidence.
Okay.
Okay.
Andrea, you better stay around. That's all I can say.
Okay, I'm around for another year.
Yes, all right.
So, so we will call for a vote on this, on Jeff
Great.
Canberry being vice president of the bond measure oversight committee for Peralta Community Colleges.
Vice chair.
Vice chair, sorry.
That's okay.
Give it away. I want to give it away. No, not quite yet.
Great. Let's see. Benjamin Scott,
Aye.
Marcus Crawley,
Yes,
Jeff Canberra,
Aye.
Andrea Dawson.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. So, do we have any public comment on this item?
No hands are raised.
Okay, thank you. So item 6 is membership update from Mark Johnson.
Yes. Thank you, Chair Dawson. So good news is that we received an application for the vacant at-large seat for the committee. That application is being presented to the Board of Trustees, hopefully at the upcoming March 14th meeting. If it's not on the agenda for the 14th, it'll be on the March 28th meeting. So that person, pending a board approval, would be a member at the next meeting that you have in April. So that's good news. The student seat is still vacant. We sent an email blast out looking for student participation. Well, we had a note in the announcement that went to all employees, hoping that the information is shared. We haven't got any student interest yet, but we'll continue to look for students. This is a great opportunity for a student to learn about community, well, building projects and nonprofit management and whatnot. So that's where we're at with the student membership. And the last point I wanted to make is, or the last question I have is that Mr. Crawley has a term that's coming up for expiration. And I wanted to check and see if he's interested in another 2-year term. And if so, then I'll get his name before the Board of Trustees at the same time as the new applicant.
Marcus?
yes, thank you. Yes, I'd be very happy to continue my service on this committee. I also had a question for you. Is there a bulletin board on the campus or on the various campuses about this requesting a student member of the CBOC?
That's a good question. Yes, there are bulletin boards, and no, we don't have a flyer up for this opportunity. That's a really good suggestion.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we have a digital version of the flyer. Of course, the vacancy is on the website, but not. That's a really good point. We can print up some flyers and paper them around the different campuses.
Okay.
Okay, so Jeff, Vice Chair, has hand up.
Yeah, I actually wanted to follow up. Marcus, you kind of got the same idea that I had. Is there through maybe the registrar's office a way to contact every student via email for this opportunity?
There's a way through my office.
Well, that's even better then. In other words, a flyer is one thing, and people looking at the bulletin board obviously would see it. And I think it's obviously a great way to do it. But boy, getting this request for a seat in every student's inbox would be a great way to maybe fill that spot.
So I have another thought on it too, is did you reach out through the student directors from the schools? Directly?
Yes, we did.
Okay,
Yes.
thank
So
you.
each college has a director of campus life and student activities. And I did indeed reach out to them. I know that they were going to flag the vacancy for the student position with the associated student governments of each of the 4 colleges.
Okay, so we hope they did that, and that one way or the other we'll get a student on this committee, which would be great. All right, well, thank you for your efforts, and hopefully we'll have a student in the next couple months. I appreciate that. Any public comment on this item?
I see no hands raised.
Okay. So the next item is the Bond Measure Oversight Committee Annual Report for 21-22. And I will say, shame on Andrea Dawson that she hasn't done anything about it. So what I'd like to do this evening is if we could ask you, Jeff, and myself, and Mark Johnson to look at our calendars and see if we could carve out an hour-and-a-half meeting either next week or the following week. And Jeff, you can throw out some ideas of times if you want to look at your calendar and do it this evening or do it tomorrow and email, but that will go over what we want to see in the report. And basically I like the format from last year, and so I really just want to update that format. And so we need the current what's happening now from 21-22 to put in a report. So do you want to decide on a time this evening, or?
So I have a commitment tonight, but I am pretty open tomorrow during the day.
Tomorrow is Thursday. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'm open from, no, I'm not open tomorrow. I'm open next Tuesday afternoon and next
Early
Wednesday.
afternoon, early Tuesday afternoon.
Yeah, it could be Tuesday afternoon, all afternoon.
So I'm available then. How about you, Mark?
Tuesday, the 14th is not good. That's a Board of Trustees meeting day.
Okay, what about Wednesday, Jeff, after like 4?
A week from tonight works for me. That's the 15th.
I know you like Wednesday nights, yeah.
And I can work with Wednesday night as well. Wednesday, very late afternoon.
Okay, what time would you like it to be?
Would 4:30 be too early for everybody?
No, that's fine with me.
Okay.
That's great for me.
Okay,
All right.
that's 4:30 then.
Great.
All right. So we're set on that then. So do we have any public comments on this item? Am I hearing a no from the background? Or,
I see no hands raised.
okay, all right, thank you. So the next item is the website relaunch update. And this is Marcus Crowley, Jeff Cramborough, and Mark Johnson.
Okay, I think I'll take the lead on this if that's okay.
Of course.
We had several meetings that were very productive. And one of the things that we talked about several weeks ago was replacing the thank you voters. And that was done. Jeff and I had an additional meeting last week. And we are suggesting that the replacement for that thank you voters note I think that just a simple statement of the purpose of this bond committee should be the introductory statement. So right now we have copied a introductory statement from an annual report, and rather than have it overlooked for years on end, and I think that it'd be best just to work up a purpose of the CBOC, and Jeff and I will have another meeting in a couple of weeks. And I think that what we come up with will closely resemble what the legislature said that our purpose is. And then at the next meeting, we'll present it and see if that is acceptable. So that's my comments. Jeff, do you have something you'd like to add? You're on mute.
Yeah, one of the other things that Mark and I had talked about in an scheduled meeting, because I got the date wrong, was having pictures of board members in a template, and the IT guy showed us I think, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, it's kind of a template, right, that you just fill in, and you can see, if you look at the Board of Trustees for Peralta, you can see the form that would be in. It would be a picture, short introduction, I guess, or background for each of the individuals. We have the ability to have email addresses, either include our own personal email addresses or receive a Peralta EDU email address for any member of the public that wanted to contact us directly. And that would go under a member, I think it's the membership tab we had. So that was, I think, one of the other major things that got talked about.
Great.
Yes, I'd like to say something about that. And yes, thank you for reminding me. We were talking about having a chart for all the members of this oversight committee. And this chart would show the categories that we are assigned to, and when we were assigned, and when the term expires, and which term it is, whether it's the first, second, or third term. So I think so this would be a chart. And right now on our website, we just have a long scrolling information with a lot of white space over to the side. And we think that it'd be much more useful to just have a as chart as large as it needs to be, that more or less occupies a space that would be considered a page. So we'll talk that over with Mark Johnson and see what is possible.
Great. Can I,
Okay. Go ahead.
so just to actually show the attendees here what we're talking about, oh, I need to share screen to show what we're talking about. Okay.
There you go.
So do you now see Build Peralta? Or are you looking at my calendar?
I'm looking at your calendar.
Calendar, yeah,
Whoops,
yeah.
okay. Let's try that again.
You look pretty busy.
Yeah.
Indeed. Okay. Now do you see the Build Peralta website?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, voters. Okay, so what we're looking at is when you go to the bond program website, which is build.peralta.edu, and you click the button for the Bond Oversight Committee, it takes you to this thank you voters page, which we wanted to change, and then it has all of the different links of the committee. And what we've been discussing is moving the content off of Build Peralta and moving it over to the district website. And this is what the team has come up with. We're part of the www.peralta.edu. If you come there and you look for the Bond Measures Oversight or BMOC or Citizens Oversight Committee, then you would get steered to this page. Bond Measures Oversight Committee, so on the new site, we've removed the thank you taxpayers message, and we've replaced this with a message from Chair Dawson. This is the content from essentially the opening paragraphs of the most recent annual report. We've got some documentation about the committee, including the board policy that established the committee and the bylaws. Over here on the right side, you've got your navigation menu. Moving down the navigation menu, here is the membership list. And this is what we were talking about, where we could very easily, as part of our template, pop in a kind of a photograph of each of the members here near your listing. It would be very much like, let me open in a new tab and show you what we have for the Board of Trustees.
There it is. Yes.
Yeah.
So we've got the picture and the contact information, the role. So that's what we're thinking, that we'd love to be able to add photos of you to this website, get your face out there in the public, literally, and your role. As you can see, we've already got the role and the term information. So what we're really lacking is your authorization to post your email address and your photograph. And if you prefer not to share your email, then we can we can have a BMOC generic email address that people can contact, and we can forward that to you.
Yeah, and just to follow up, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but isn't doing all of this column with the names on it kind of get shifted over more to the middle of the page, like it is on the, yeah, just so you can see how it would look. And Marcus, to your point about all the additional information other than just when the term expires, I know you had suggested a chart. That information for each individual member could be included in that text. So it would have all those dates listed directly with the individual on the committee and what position they actually held at the time. So it'd all be grouped all together in one nice spot so that people could see from an individual committee member perspective where we all fit in.
That's exactly right. And I mean, if you wanted to provide some biographical information, we could put a short, paragraph of biological information, background information there.
You mean biographical, not biological?
Yes. Biographical, not biological. Yes.
Okay.
Let's see. And I wanted to show this off for Mr. Crawley. We have the community membership application. So that's the form. There's a fillable form. Oh, I guess we haven't, we're still testing the document. We've been working on creating this form as a not a fillable PDF like what we're looking at right now, but an actual web form. In fact, let me show you an example of what I'm talking about. If I go to GEMS, and I'm looking for this. So we're looking for a member of the community, and by the way, all of you would be invited here to participate in the Chancellor's Screening Committee. And if you're interested in applying to participate in the search for a new permanent chancellor for the Peralta Community College District, we'd like to have 1 to 3 members of the community participate in the screening committee. That would be in addition to representatives from our faculty, representatives from our classified professional staff, representatives from administration, and representatives from our trustees. So we're looking for some community involvement, and we've built out a form. And you fill out the information at the form, and then you click submit at the bottom, and you're done. You don't have to print this out, fill it out, and mail it in. So I hope, Mr. Crawley, I'm seeing a bit of a smile there.
I'm getting excited. Yes.
Yes, this is what you've been asking for, and we're getting this close to being able to
Cool.
rolling that out on the bond measures oversight page. So we're getting there. Okay, so
That's great. That is really good.
Are you saying that there's a vacancy for the chancellor?
Yes, that's right. So Dr. Jeanette N. Jackson is currently an interim chancellor. She had retired as the chancellor of the Chabot-Las Positas district. She had worked at Peralta as the president of College of Alameda for many years. And I think that's where she met Jeff when she was president of the College of Alameda.
Mm-hmm.
She later, she went to Chabot-Las Positas and was at Chabot-Las Positas for, I believe, 5 or 6 years. Then she retired. She came out of retirement to help she was the acting president at Skyline College when Peralta hired Dr. Regina Stanback Stroud as the chancellor. And then when Dr. Carla Walter left in April of 2021, or gave her notice in March of 2021, Chancellor Jackson stepped in, again, a retirement fail, and came back to Peralta to help our district. And yeah, she's been incredible. I really, really appreciate having her steady hand at the rudder while we get the district back on track. And yeah, her influence is incredible, but she's made it clear she wants to retire.
There you go.
So her contract runs through the end of this year, and then she's stepping down. And the timeline that we have for hiring a new chancellor is we're working with a consultant right now to get the position advertised. We're expecting to have applicants from April through the summer. Our faculty is on leave during July and the first part of August. So we're thinking that in probably September. This is when the screening committee will really kick into gear, looking at applications, narrowing the field for interviews. Interviews would take place later in the fall, and then the new chancellor would begin in the new year. And I see VC Smith's hand up.
Yes, I do too. So,
Thank you, Mark, for that summary. And thank you, Chair Dawson. I just wanted to ask, when are they going to start the advertisement for Chancellor?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've been working on the brochure, and we've updated the version that we created in 2021. But part of the process is having the consultant confirm with the trustees what are the precise characteristics that they're looking for. So that needs to happen first. Once that happens, then we'll finalize the brochure and then get that distributed. So we're still probably at least a month away from advertising.
Great, thank you so much.
Yeah. Sorry, that was a little.
okay, it was a little, yeah.
Little tangent, but to get us.
Yeah, there you go.
Get us back on the website at hand. So we also have the reports section, and we approached the reports section here a little bit differently than we have on the Build Peralta site. In the Build Peralta site, we have the financial reports and the bond financial reports in separate spaces, and it seemed to me that you're like when Ben presented last week from the auditor, he went over both the financial statement and the audit report, and it seemed to me that it really makes more sense to have those combined. So what we're thinking here is that we'll put both of the statements up in the same place so that you can see the financial report and the audit report in the same space. And I thought that the team had moved those documents over, but it looks like they haven't yet. But that's what the idea is here. And then a separate page for the reports that come out of this committee, not from the auditor. And that's the quick overview of what you want. And if this, if you are in agreement that you want to proceed with this, then two things would happen. One is that we'd want to make sure that we get these statements completely up to date. The second is that we want to make sure that we have the bond committee application set up to be an online submissible form. When those two things are in place, then we would want to decommission the space over here on the Build Peralta site, so that the Build Peralta just really stays focused on community involvement around the bond, but not the oversight.
So, Marcus, I see your hand up. So,
okay, thank you. Yeah, I would advise Mark to minimize his efforts there. So let us talk about these changes at the subcommittee level, and then present them to the committee level, because what we're trying to get away from is us abdicating our decision-making district. So let us discuss these things. And so far, everything you're saying sounds good, but we would like to talk about them before you put in a lot of time.
Fair enough.
Good.
So Jeff or Benjamin, do you have any other thoughts on this? I have a couple, that's why I asked you first. So Ben Scott?
No.
No, and actually, we had talked about some of these in a conceptual basis already in the subcommittee. So the whole committee is now seeing them for the first time. And so I think that it's a great opportunity for other members that are not on the subcommittee, if you'd like to at least weigh in, so that we don't bring it back. Then when everybody weighs in, then we go back and change it again and we never get it up.
Yeah. Well, I like everything I'm seeing, but I have two suggestions. And the first suggestion is that under each year, when you put the financial and performance report as one item, I think our report should actually go in that same year underneath that. I don't think it should have a separate place. So I think then it's an automatic read of the auditor's report and our report. That's would be my personal preference. And the other thing is a minor, and that is that I like the idea of a little bio, but I think we should have it be word, the amount of words like kept to a minimum. In other words,
Yes.
so you all decide what it's going to take. Is it 200 words or is it 100 words, whatever that is, because we want them all to kind of be, I think, the same. So.
Yes, totally agree. Yes.
Yeah. And then the third thing is, even though I think we should be off the Build Peralta site, I think that somewhere in that site, there should be a link to our site, but it is not the most prominent thing, but it basically, if people are really interested in digging in on the Build Peralta program, that they know there's an oversight committee that they could go click on that link and they would end up over at our site.
I agree completely. I wouldn't want to remove. Oh, I guess I'm not sharing anymore. I'm circling the Bond Oversight Committee button on Build Peralta. I wouldn't want to remove that from the header of the Build Peralta website. I would want to keep that there. It's just that when you click that button, instead of going to a page within Build Peralta, you'd go to the page on the new Peralta site.
I think those are all good ideas. Yeah. So.
Yes, I agree with the button only because I think the more places we have access, right, so that the public can access our information, the better off it would be. And I don't think that interferes with our independence from Peralta itself, though, that button to get to our site is also contained on the Build Peralta site.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great idea.
And a good suggestion, yes.
So
Awesome.
other thoughts or comments on this item?
Well, my one comment is that, Madam Chair, I think we can accommodate your wishes.
Thank you. All right, thanks. So with that being said, I will ask if there's any public comment on this item.
I see no hands.
Okay, hearing none, we will move on to site visit to College of Alameda and other bond building sites. I still, as a committee member, would like to visit the site. So I would like to have staff undertake what that would mean to actually open a site for certain hours on a certain day, and whether that's meeting with your program manager or the construction project manager that's on site to get that tour. I think it is a valuable thing to bring back to this committee. Etheria, I see your hand is up.
Great idea. It's something that we used to do in the past and had gotten away from for a number of reasons. But what we can do, usually in the past, we had the president of the college welcome the committee. Once the committee had a meeting with the president, then we'd also all walk the site and talk about the projects. Also, it would end with the facilities committee talking with the bond oversight committee, if that was possible to make happen. So that's usually how the site would go. And also the PMO and construction managers were also present with the bond oversight committee.
So what are next steps to maybe make that happen?
Let's try to see if we can arrange that. I know that there is an upcoming groundbreaking. Maybe we can kill two birds with one stone on, let me ask, Sharon, I believe you're still on the line. There is a groundbreaking for the auto diesel project at the end of March. Can you confirm what date that is?
I can if Sharon can. If while we're
Okay,
waiting.
Mark.
Sure. That's coming up on Wednesday, March 22nd at the lunch hour, 12:30 to 1:30. We are doing a groundbreaking ceremony at College of Alameda. It's going to be very similar to the event that Chair Dawson attended at Merritt when we did the groundbreaking ceremony for the Child Development Center at Merritt College. You all are invited to attend. It should be a lovely event. And I see Jeff has his hand up.
Yeah, so I before I recognize you, Jeff, I'm just going to say I have great appreciation for going to the groundbreakings, and I think we should be invited. But I would also like to see a product that's in process, a project that is in process or has been completed that has some context of the before and after. And that's why I brought up College of Alameda. And so that's my thought on that. Then I will recognize Jeff. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, just a procedural matter, depending on how this works, we may need to actually put out an announcement because we are a Brown Act committee. And if we're all going to be, whether we all show up or not, if we're all invited, just to check that box, even though we're not going to have an open meeting.
Correct. You are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
So, Etheria?
The last project that was completed at COA, College of Alameda, was the H building. And I don't believe that you all have had a tour of the H building, the new liberal arts building. So we can do that. With that in mind, maybe it is an introduction afterwards or a conversation with the college president, but then it's pretty much your whole day once we do the tour, once we do the groundbreaking. So I would like to ask, do you want to do everything on one day or come back on another day and have a separate meeting with the president and a campus walk?
Well, I don't, folks might have thoughts on this, but I'm just going to tell you how it's done or how it's been done at Oakland Unified, because I think it's rather efficient. It's about 2 hours in the morning, and it starts at like shortly after construction, or it's later in the afternoon at the end of the day. And what it is a tour of the site, and it's someone from staff like you, Etheria, there, and then the construction team. And it's really just so we can put our eyes on what the taxpayers are paying for, and we can see what, from from the reports that we're getting from program management and staff, that they're actually, putting together the building that we've been told you are. So you know what I'm saying? So I really appreciate like maybe the meeting with the president, but I'm not sure of folks' time and interest in spending a day or a half a day on something like that. So thoughts from other committee members. So Jeff, Marcus, or Benjamin?
I'll speak up. Having been a contractor for 50 years, I'm not too excited about a new project. I've seen too many of them. So I probably will not attend.
So I would enjoy seeing them. I don't know that we need to go through what would the appropriate formalities would be. Who needs to speak to who, obviously seeing the building and some of the features of the building would be my interest for sure. And then how much more, I think, depends on everybody else, but seems like depending on the size of the building and what we're looking at, 2 hours seems like a reasonable amount of time to do it, everything. And so if people want to talk to us as the committee, let's make it efficient, I guess is what I would say.
Right.
I agree. This is Benjamin.
Okay, thank you. So, Etheria, more
Oh,
thoughts on this?
No problem. I'd be happy to walk through the H building after we have the groundbreaking. Not a problem at all, and be efficient as possible. We can also talk about ongoing projects and where we are at that particular site.
Okay, so I think that, yes, if you provide the invite and then we post it so that we're in compliance with the Brown Act, whether 1, 2, or 5 of us show up, that's all great. And the public actually is allowed to show up too when you post that. So,
Thank you.
thanks a lot. All right, we'll see how it goes. Okay. So other, Etheria, did you want to say something else?
Yes, so Mr. Crawley, the project's completed. It'd be great if you join us.
Good.
Yeah. Commercial building, it might be a little different. It's about education. I'm excited to see it. So, so I will ask, is there any public comment on this item? Mark Johnson, do you see any public?
No, no hands are raised.
Okay, sorry, maybe I missed your response. All right, we're moving on to item 10, which is the monthly meeting schedule. And I wanted this put on the agenda so we could talk a little bit more about having maybe a few less frequent meetings a year. And so it's actually proposed on here. And the reason that I've expressed the idea of a summer break, July and August, is because the majority of staff takes their vacations in the summer. And so that is purposeful in, I think, us meeting their needs too, and us getting better. I'm counting on getting, consistent reporting the other months of the year, but the other ones that I've recommended is December and January, because these are months that people have a lot of activities and the district isn't really doing necessarily as much consent item for bond program, particularly in December. And it seems like January, our meeting comes so early in the month that a lot of folks aren't back from vacation that we would be getting reports from. So I wanted to pose that to the committee, and then I think Mark Johnson wants to say something about that too.
I just wanted to make the point that we're meeting via Zoom right now. Our legal counsel, our board of trustees has voted to continue on a month-to-month basis with an exemption of the Brown Act requirement to meet in person. But now I just wanted to flag it to this committee that now that Governor Newsom has ended the California state of emergency regarding COVID, there is an expectation that Brown Act entities would meet in person.
Right.
So that was my point. We're okay right now. Our trustees have extended the exemption period through March. So we're fine. I don't know if the trustees will extend that again. So we may be in a situation where this committee will be coming back to the board, the Peralta district office and meeting in the chancellor's office there.
So, and then, so since we're on that subject, Mark, this is a question for you and staff. And is AB 2449 is what allowed the, you know, the Zoom meetings, and also and the recent legislation for not to publish people's home addresses for the Zoom. Was based on a territory, as they called it in the legislation. The statement in the legislature that the governor just signed. Let me put it that way. So, but one of the things that's in there is that there still is an opportunity for less than a quorum to sign up to, if they're traveling or they need, you know, there's an emergency situation that they need to attend from home, that they could possibly do that, but it can't be the whole committee. So it can never be a quorum of the committee that does that. So I don't know if the district's going to consider something like that, but I hope if they do for their own board of trustees, that they consider it for our committee too. So then I think, Marcus, you're next to speak on this.
I have heard some comments about opening up regular in-person meetings. I don't know whether that means that Zoom meetings like this would be decommissioned. I would assume that that they could both could happen at the same time. In other words, there would be a room and there would be a computer and a video there, so that some of the members can attend by Zoom, and not everybody would have to attend in person. I think that the world has found out how convenient Zoom is, or these virtual meetings, and continue to make it available. Some people are getting rather old and have travel issues, you know, like a hip replacement or a knee replacement and things like that. And so they can't really get around for a few months. So I'm hoping that if we continue to have Zoom meetings available even after we have regular in-person meetings. That's one comment. The other comment is regarding having fewer meetings a year. You know, since this beginning of this oversight committee, we have never had even 6 meetings a year. Maybe we've had 6, but we've never had 10. And I think that that we should continue to have the full schedule, with the exception of July and December, until we have shown that we can have all the meetings we need. Now, so here we are 3 years after the beginning of this committee, and we haven't even established the website that we want. So there's a lot of catch up that I think that we have to do, and a lot of discussions. So I don't agree with discontinuing meetings in June or August, even though maybe most of the personnel at the school is going to go on vacation. That's no reason why we can't still talk about accountability. So that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, I appreciate that, but just to be clear, it's not June, it would be July and August and December and January. So what I heard you say though is July and December would be okay with you. So
I think that we've already agreed upon that. I think that when we said that the meetings are going to be every month, the second Wednesday of the month, except for July and December.
okay. So Jeff, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, directed to Mark, this idea about Brown Act meetings, and this is not my specialty area of the law, but the district has, I'm sure, a very competent attorney that is going to know the exact rules on how many times, whether you're going to have, I'm pretty sure you can have hybrid meetings where the public can either be in person or attend by Zoom, but I think there are some special requirements for committee members, council members, whatever it is, and that's entirely different. So I think we need to get a legal opinion and have that come back at the next meeting.
I agree. I agree, because basically the AB 2449, which I have right in front of me, it says a member may only teleconference for publicly disclosed just cause or in emergency circumstances approved by the legislative body. So, but furthermore, there's another part of it that goes on to say what at least a quorum of the members must be present in person. So if you'll get back to us, Mark, I appreciate it, but I think we would like to just follow what the trustees will end up doing, because I think all boards now are quite aware of this AB 2449. So, okay. So, so do you have comments, Jeff, as far as frequency of meetings, or Benjamin, either one of you?
Yeah, only to say that if they're, and I guess it works both ways, two sides of the same coin. If we really don't have a sufficient amount of agenda items, we could always cancel a meeting, right? And if we didn't have one scheduled, but we had something to talk about anyway, we could then schedule it, right?
That's true.
Yeah, and I think the idea is I'd rather have a full schedule that got canceled so that the public knew at least that we would be meeting, and well, there wasn't that much. They would look for an agenda, and then that agenda would say the meeting was canceled.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of a hybrid, right? We schedule it, but if there isn't anything, I don't think we want to waste anybody's time if there wasn't anything to talk about.
Okay, so that means that if we want to take the summer off, we just have to be more efficient in June. Yeah. So there you go.
Yes.
Okay, so hearing Benjamin, would you like to say anything about this? Benjamin?
Sorry, I'm trying to get myself off of mute.
Oh, no worries. Yeah.
I'm just gonna, I guess, echo what the last comments were.
Okay, so good to know. All right, so do we have public comment on this item? Mark, public comment?
I'm sorry, no hands are raised.
Okay.
I would like to just make the point that I believe the bylaws request at least a quarterly convening of this committee. So anything more than 4 meetings a year is going above and beyond what's in the bylaws.
Understood, but I think when we first convened, that was one of the first things that we took up with when Marcus Curley and I were original members of this committee, when we were, that wasn't enough when we're just launching the committee. So, yeah.
Yes.
All right, we are on to new business. And I'm going to go first just so I don't forget saying this. Okay, so one of the things that I would like on the next agenda is a report on all the projects that report from program management and Vice Chancellor Smith on all the projects that are, what the status is, where they are in the process, and what the budgets for each one of the projects are, and a discussion of
from whomever, program managers probably, on what's happening in the market today, on acceleration, on the escalation costs on projects and supply chain. So a thorough report to the committee.
Andrea, I would like to expand on that just a little bit. I think that one easy way for us to be current with the budget is to have a regular report on change orders. And probably for the most part, the change orders are less than 10%, which is typical for or expected by architectural firms. And so if we could have a report of change orders that exceed 10%, either exceed it by the contract or cumulative, that would be helpful. And if there's nothing there, well, then we can breathe easier and know that everything looks like it's fine, and not have to wait a year and a half to get a report from a auditor. So, Mark, do you think that would be possible for the report to include the change orders?
I don't have enough insight to answer that question. I would defer to Vice Chancellor Smith.
Great, thank you, Mark.
Go ahead, Etheria.
Thank you, Mark. Let me see what we can put together. I'm sure we can respond and craft a report that gives you an update on the expenses of each project. But let me dig into it a little bit more. All change orders and all expenses are always posted and go to the board for approval every 2 weeks.
Yeah, Etheria, thank you for that. Yes, I think that I think you're going to be able to satisfy our requirement. I'm actually quite sure that your program managers have this information, and it's put in a milestone report that is reported to you all. And so thank you for pursuing that for us. So, Marcus?
Yes, if the financial report or the expenditure report is a chart with hundreds of numbers, I don't find it particularly illuminating unless there is just a column somewhere on it that shows the amount of change orders or percentage of change orders, something like that, something that we can focus on and have an intuitive sense of. But in the past, when I've seen charts of expenditures and there's hundreds of numbers, I didn't learn anything from the chart.
No, we would not overwhelm you with numbers and charts. It'll be something that would be very clear, straightforward, and a bottom line number.
Good.
Yeah, so I think for me, I'll just summarize for the committee what I would be looking for. I want to know what the original budget is, what the augmented budget is, what is projected to complete percentage wise, and so then it's spent to date. So, and where you are in the process. So is the project in planning, or is it 50% construction, or is it 90% construction, or is it in closeout? So I think if we get that kind of report, we can see where the district's going with all the projects. So Etheria, do you want to say something else about it?
Yes, so let me give you an example. Laney College, we are in the process of applying in DSA right now to do a new Learning Resource Center. The Learning Resources Center, again, it's in DSA, but as we move forward with this project, there's a number of things, secondary projects that have come into play to make this happen. For example, there is a East Bay Mud water main that had to be relocated. That's a whole other project by itself. Also, to support having a new resource learning center, we are doing a new central plant. So there's a number of secondary projects that we can explain and also present to you, because we're doing a one focused project just to bring the campus up to standard. So I think that's a way we can look to present this. And you can see how, yes, you may be budgeted for 60 million to do a resource learning center. However, it's going to take, and these are not the numbers, I am just pulling numbers to give you an example. So you may plan to spend 60 million on a building, but to relocate a water main, it's going to take a whole other project of 5 million with East Bay Mud, and it's another 5 million to upgrade the utilities. So these are secondary projects that affect the primary project.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Marcus Crowley, did you have something else to say?
Yeah. In the past, we've had charts from AECOM. Am I pronouncing that correctly? AECOM?
AECOM.
AECOM? Okay.
Yes.
And I was particularly impressed with the charts that had different colors for different levels of progress. And so that's certainly helpful. But so at a glance, we can tell what the status is, or at least not be confused by the status. But when I'm asking for the change orders, now that would be an additional column or something. And what Ethereal was talking about relocating a East Bay Mud water main, I would think that would not come as a surprise. That would have been a pre-construction project that would have been budgeted and have started a year before the actual breaking ground of the structure. So thank you, Ethereal.
Yes, that is correct. It's part, once you start investigating a project, you find out there are other things that need to be done. For example, relocating a water main, that's a project that is happening right now as we speak. Also, upgrading the utilities, that is a project that is underway. Again, we're not out of DSA right now for the library itself, but once it does come out of DSA, then these projects should be closing out and finished so we can get on with the actual building of the project itself. And also, when I raised my hand, I think you have also answered your question, or well, I was going to add to it. When AECOM comes and presents, they do present and show the various levels, various of where a project may be in progress, but we would add to it to let you know what change orders have occurred to that project. So it's just adding additional information to an already established report.
Okay, thank you. So any other comments or thoughts on this? Okay, so
I don't know if this is the right part to segue in, but I wanted to, before the end of the meeting, talk about some of the public comments.
Yes, so I think that was a suggestion for a new item for the next month.
And so do we have other items? And then I'll come to you, Ben. Okay. Do we have any other items that we want to put on for the next meeting, meeting? Besides another update on the website, we want that. And I would like an update on the vacancies. So those are 3 things. And then Marcus, you have your hand up for a new item.
Yeah, I think that the 2 people that spoke at the beginning of the meeting at the open agenda item, open public, I thought those were really good questions. And so I would like to see the answers to those questions next meeting. Or
So,
some kind of guidance or tell us what you know about those topics.
so I'd like to go to Benjamin and then come back to that for a minute. So Benjamin Scott, please.
Well, Marcus, as usual, just basically said it better than I did, but that was my question. I wasn't sure the appropriate time to bring it up, but it would be nice to get some answers because that's some information that I'm not aware of, and I don't know if any of us are aware of either.
So I think those answers will come in the report, and that's one of the reasons that I particularly ask that we have an in-depth report next month, because if all of the program, which is what we're asking for a report on where the entire bond program is for the district. And so it's going to be what the original plan was and where they are in the process of the list of projects that's forthcoming. And I'll let Etheria speak again on this.
Sure. And in the report, we will discuss what it seems some faculty are not understanding, and what we're finding also is information is not getting back to our stakeholders. So we are working to put out a newsletter to get more information out to the stakeholders. But what the report will also show is that we have a phase 1 and a phase 2 of our projects, and we do not want to start projects in phase 2 without the assurances that we're going to complete them. In our phase 1, if you recall, we stepped forward with projects that were state funded and that we were getting matching funds from the state, which was more important, and not letting that funding go. We received a total of over $77 million from the state. So it was very important for us to address those projects. There are other projects that have come up, again, secondary projects, and we'll report that out in our upcoming report.
Yes, it's going to be great to hear this report. Jeff, your thoughts?
Yes. So I just have a question about our jurisdiction as an oversight committee on how projects are selected, how they're run. Is that something that falls within our purview? So I think it's fine as a check the box report. I understand the concern, so I don't want to by any way minimize that concern, but we are a limited jurisdiction forum. And so to the extent that Etheria would like to address those things in a report to us, I think that would be great. But then I don't know how much further we would want to go with that.
So I'm just going to say, I think it's an appropriate ask, and districts are generally very willing to do this because our committee, even though we're a hindsight committee, I would say we're looking back to make sure they spent the money, but it's an odd role to be in. But by the same token, if the district was totally misspending the bond money, they would say, what has that CBOC committee been doing? They haven't even been asking for reporting. So most districts understand that relationship with us. And so they're very willing to come forward and tell us how they've determined which projects they've launched first in phase 1 and then gone to phase 2, and how, that's why I ask, I want to know about, you know, inflation and supply chain, all the things that are affecting their decision making, because it all are parts of the puzzle that's really important to somewhere capture, so the public can see that we're asking those questions and the district is willingly answering because they want to be forthcoming and transparent to the taxpayers. And I think it works out. So Etheria, if you want to say something else about this?
Sure, perfect response. It's an oversight to make sure that we are spending responsibly and responding to the stakeholders. And also you will see that Department of General Services does not have a new sports center or a new pool and put our own pet projects above and beyond what the needs of our stakeholders are.
Correct. All right. Thank you. Any more thoughts or comments on this item? Well, hearing none, we are to, I guess public comment on new agenda items. Do we do that? Or that's kind of our item? Mark, are there any more public comments?
I don't see any hands.
Okay, well, then I think it's time to say good evening. Thank you for your attendance and good conversation, and stay safe, warm, and dry in the next few days, and hopefully don't have to bail each other out.
Yeah.
When is our next meeting?
It would be,
It's,
look at the calendar.
yeah. Oh,
Is it April 12th?
it,
Or,
yeah, we say it's the second Wednesday, right?
Yes.
yeah.
The
it's
second
April-
Wednesday is the 12th.
Yeah,
Yes.
April 12th.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, all right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for a great meeting.
Yeah, thank you.